touched yet. Okay. It's property that has not been looked at yet by Natural Resource Management, and they usually come in to evaluate what's out there in terms of natural resources. So it's kind of going to be like a first time opportunity for people other than park staff to really get out there and get to explore. And so I've got basically everything under the sun that you may want to do other than collecting, because that requires permits. But I hope to have mothing, birding, pretty much anything. Bring all your supplies, and we're just going to go out there and have a great time. We will allow camping in that base camp area. I'm looking for, it's not going to be open to the public, but if you by chance wanted to lead a bird walk or a plant walk, I know that as INATers tend to just go off and do their own thing, but it's going to be a great chance to get some good volunteer hours. So please let me know if you want to join. I think I only have one person from the chapter so far signed up, and I would love to just have as many as you out there, because we're going to be cooking for you guys on Saturday nights. It's going to go from 5 p.m. Saturday to 5 p.m. Sunday on August 20th to August 21st. If you guys have any questions, you can shoot me an email on, let's see, madison.gover@tpwd.texas.gov. There's other ways to contact me, but that way I can kind of keep all y'all's questions in the same general location. But yeah, I'm gonna have game cameras set up. I'm gonna bring out the Sherman traps. We got an echo meter touch for that identification. So I'm gonna be running all that stuff because I know a lot about mammals. But yeah, it's gonna be fun, and it's going to be a real gift to get out there and kind of have this, opportunity for not just park guests, but master naturalists specifically. So it's kind of word of mouth. If you know anybody who's not a master naturalist, they're still free to sign up. You can forward this to whoever you want. And yeah, I hope to see you guys there. I can send a link. I can put the links in the chat for you guys.
Please do.
I'm gonna stop talking now and answer questions in the chat, okay?
Okay. Well, I want to ask a question just out loud, which is, if we are not going to spend the night, can we join y'all in the morning of August 21st?
Oh yeah, because it's 24 hours, there's no obligation for you to go camping. We just thought that for people that want to go mothing or play around with the echo meter, that it might be easier for them to camp, but
sure.
Sorry,
could everybody mute yourself, please?
Okay.
All right, Madison will answer your questions in chat. She'll answer your questions in chat, and I have other questions like, where do I find y'all and all that kind of stuff. So it sounds like fun, Madison. Thank you for doing this, and it's exciting to have some new property that's been acquired. That's, to me, that's wonderful news.
Yes.
Wonderful news.
Email is how I'm going to be able to send y'all directions and stuff like that. So let me go to chat. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Okay, there are a few other announcements, but I don't think anything is urgent before we have our program tonight. So I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to Mary Beth.
Okay. Last October, I had the pleasure of going to the state meeting, and Melissa Felty talked to us, gave a presentation about the Texas Water Specialist which is something we can volunteer for and earn certification in through her and through Texas. She works for Texas Parks and Wildlife. Let me tell you a little bit about Melissa. If I can find my notes here. She has been Texas Parks and Wildlife's Department's Conservation Education Manager since 2018. She manages multiple statewide programs, which include the Community Waters, which is actually Texas Aquatic Science and Texas Waters. She also manages Project Wild and Nature Tourism. Prior to working at TPWD, she taught environmental education for 17 years. She utilized live, non-releasable wildlife to teach audiences about watersheds and lake ecology, native landscaping, wildlife, and its habitats, all while guiding them to take responsible conservation actions. She has a BS in biology from Northern Illinois University and an MA in teaching from Miami University. She feels the future of our natural resources depends on our ability to make these educational opportunities and outdoor activities relevant and accessible to all. Her love for water started as a child swimming, fishing, and kayaking in the Great Lakes. Boy, would I like to be there right now. Her passion and dedication, Melissa's passion and dedication to water has grown to explore Texas waterways through education, conservation, stewardship, and recreation. So welcome, Melissa. You're welcome to share your screen.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for having me, and good evening. Let me do the whole fun screen share and pretend and hope it works.
It's working.
It's working.
Cool. All right. So I oversee the Texas Water Specialist Program. And so what this program is it's for any adult, and we're actually reaching into high school age to be certified to be pretty much water ambassadors all across Texas. So this presentation is going to be the who, what, when, where, why, and how, because there has been some changes, but then there's just some people just don't know about it. And it's a great opportunity as well, too. Let me just, here we go. Last year, we celebrated 5 years of the program. So it is a relatively new program. So we are just in our 6th year right now with Texas Parks and Wildlife. The who can become a Texas Water Specialist. And you'll notice I'm always going to have a short answer and then a long answer. So the short answer is anyone. We say anyone over the ages of pretty much 18, we say, and that's just because the hours have to be reported into our volunteer management system. And so we've looked into having minors and youth reporting hours, and it's just there's a lot of stuff within the state that we just have to be careful with. So that's where it's pretty much an adult program. If you want to have students or anything be involved, that's no problem. I'm working with the Austin Park Rangers. They have a cadet program. And so I just work with them and exchange names and stuff like that and still get people certified. So the other thing is looking at these numbers are from last year's presentation, but still pretty accurate. Are you guys having problems hearing me? Because I can run and get buds. It looks like somebody is having problems with audio. Some people are not.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Melissa.
Okay, awesome. And I can maybe talk a little louder too. So the number of Master Naturalist chapters, there's 46 of the 48. And seeing the percentage there, this program was based off of the Master Naturalist, the way that you do advanced training and certification. So that's almost 95% of the water specialists are Master Naturalists. So I thank you all to be those water ambassadors, and thank you so much for all the service, and you'll see service hours later on. So this one we're just talking about, here's some AT. So the number of Master Naturalists is 757, and I have not put, there's about 80 that have been certified this year already, and that's not in this in this number and the number of master naturalists that have put in service hours. At least one service hour is 585 master naturalists. So thank you so much for supporting the program. But the main thing is not supporting the program. It's what the program is all about, is doing that volunteer service to help improve our water all throughout Texas. So the short answer is in Texas, and the long answer is anywhere in Texas. And so this is more for master naturalists. So anybody who does, if you're not a master naturalist, there's totally different rules to this program. And it's just because master naturalists, you have bylaws and things like that you have to follow. So the long answer is on public land or on private land that's not yours. And so with public, because I'm not a master naturalist, I will be working on that when I find time. Don't worry, I'll get there. But if I were public getting this certification, I can put rain gardens, I can put bioswales on my property, and that would still count because that's helping water. But by the bylaws of Texas Master Naturalist, you can't get volunteer hours of stuff that you do on your own property, is what I was told. And so but you can help your neighbor out. You can help your peer out and help them put natives, do xeriscaping and stuff like that to help water. And I was told that does count. So helping each other out. So anywhere in Texas. The why, a short answer is just because. Why not help the water? But the long answer is you're a role model, you're a water ambassador, and you improve the health of the environment. Those are the main whys. Terry MacArthur out of the Woodlands. She's with the Woodlands Township. She has been absolutely amazing. She has taken this and implemented into her job at the Woodlands Township. And so she hosts classes for her entire community. She'll put them in the community's newsletter and their township newsletter. And she takes the Texas Waters curriculum, and she leads like 3-hour classes to her community members to inform them what the habitats are, what a watershed is, and things like that. So that's something that you can do in your own community. She will. I'm going to talk about them later, but we do have Texas Waters webinar, and she is our September speaker. So you can see how she does it and what she's doing in her community as well too. So here's some numbers as well too. So the numbers of advanced training hours, so almost 7,000 hours of advanced training hours. And like I said, this program, this is only 5 years of 5-year data. So it's actually, it's amazing. So over 35,000 hours set just towards the Texas Waters volunteer service hours. And the way that we did this was we knew that master naturalists, you have to do a certain number of advanced training hours. You have to do a certain number, and I believe it's 40 hours of volunteer service. So what we were saying, if you have to do these hours, why not them be aquatic focused? So I'm going to talk about it a little bit. So that's part of the why is let's just help the water. If we need to keep master naturalist certifications, why not help the water while we're doing that as well too? So the when for advanced training, it is anytime. Right now, there is no set time limit to get your advanced training in. So let's just say 3 years ago, you maybe watched a webinar and you got an hour for advanced training. You still get that 1 hour. I have a database of all the hours from when the program first started, and that hour never gets deleted in my database. And it's a huge Excel spreadsheet. It's very fun and color coded. And so you can still get them. You do not have to get them within a year, which is normally the case with your master naturalist advanced training. So the certification is a little different in that way. So advanced training, you can get it at any time. If it takes you 5 years to get 8 hours, that's totally fine in our eyes. Right now, we have not set a time limit. For the volunteer service, that's annually, and that's going to be a little bit more difficult. So the other change, if you were in the Master Naturalist program before, it used to be September 1 to August 31. And the reason for that was that's TPWD's fiscal year, as well as we would try to close the books and get everybody their 8 hours by the end of August. The reason why is because we host Texas Waters Day at the annual meeting, the Texas Master Naturalist annual meeting. So we tried to get everybody's hours in by August. So then in October, you can be recognized at the annual meeting. And what I found out when I took over this program, it's a nightmare for the VMS admins because it is switching September 1. And then, so we just said, you know what, forget it. Master Naturalist, you are calendar year. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make it easier on the groups that's helping support the program. So right now it is January 1 to December 31. So let's just say that you received all your 8 hours of advanced training in February of 2022. Your service, your 10 hours, generally you do not have to get them in until December of 2023. So you actually get a whole much longer time to get those 10 hours in. And that's just for the water specialist. The reason why is we just felt that if you were certified then in November of 22, we felt that it wasn't fair for you to keep your certification to try and get 10 hours in a month and a half. And so it wasn't fair for people who were certified in February versus certified in October, November, or December. So that's why we decided to set it up that way, because we don't have where your advanced training needs to be done within a certain time limit. So it's a little confusing, but that's how it goes. You actually, it's a benefit because you get a lot more time to get those 10 hours in of aquatic-based service. The last bullet point, reporting service. With reporting service, so let's just say you take Stream Team, or you took some kind of the Texas Waters Resource Institute and you took one of their riparian trainings. We don't want you to wait until you get your 8 hours to utilize that information to go benefit and go use what you learned into practice. And so I think prior to, you weren't able to report your service or anything until you got your 8 hours. That's been changed, because I want you to take that and I want you to go out and use that information, regardless if you're certified or not. You took the training, you're good to go. And so I'm gonna, in a little bit, I'll show how the service reporting is done. But just, I'll state it now, I don't think I'm going to forget later. I think I have it in the service section, but it may take 1 or 2 months for that sort of box. And I'll show you that box to be turned on. The reason why is because how Mary Beth introduced me. I'm overseeing Texas Aquatic Science and this Texas Water Specialist program. Those each are about 20% of my job. Then I help, Kiki Corey is amazing with Project Wild. I help manage that. And then just recently, nature tourism has come under my belt. So I help manage nature tourism. And then I also do TEKS and lesson plans, and there's a lot. So this program should take about 20% of my time, and it takes a lot more than that, but it's a great program and I will continue to do that. But I'm one person doing this. And so sometimes it takes me a little bit longer to do that certification. So the what is the advanced training and what is the service? And so the short answer is anything aquatic, water, or watershed based. And I put that in almost, and you'll see the almost later on, that explanation. So the long answer, what we did is I had a wonderful intern last summer. And what she did was she pulled every single advanced training and volunteer service opportunity, because it's really awesome that everybody lists what their advanced training was, whether it was a webinar, whether it was a class, or even the service. And we narrowed it down and we pulled it together, and we put them into 4 categories. Those 4 categories are conservation, ecology, education, and stewardship. So those are the main categories. And on our website, and it looks like Mary Beth put the website in there. Sorry, chat's a little hidden for me. So thank you, Mary Beth, for putting that in there. So that's the main link to the water specialist program. And there is an offset. So it'll say for a list of advanced training or for a list of volunteer service, there'll be a link. That's what's going to bring you to the list of approved topics and agencies. But I know this is a lot of text, but I tend to put text heavy because a lot of times stuff is recorded. I always pass my PowerPoints, so you'll be able to reference this. If you just had conservation, ecology, education, and stewardship, you wouldn't possibly maybe remember what I was talking about for examples. So that's why I generally have text heavy to refer back to later. So what is conservation? Infrastructure. So if you're talking about smart growth or the leadership in environmental and engineer design, rain garden, storm drain marking, those are all types of things that for water conservation practices. Then there's ecology. Ecology is species based or habitat based. So it's bioindicator species. So macroinvertebrates are one of the number 1 bioindicators. There are some other species, aquatic species that may be bioindicators for water health. And if you're doing any of those, you can always reach out to me. And I generally work with the VMS admins to say, yes, this is an approved product or project, or yes, this is an approved advanced training. But generally it's macroinvertebrates. So then there's habitats, groundwater, surface water, and all the different types of ecology. And then there's education. If you're learning how to, if you're at a local nature center, or if you have that Dinosaur Valley that's right there. So if you attend one of their trainings on how to teach one of their water-based programs, that's considered advanced training for education. I offer Texas Aquatic Science. It's a middle school science, high school curriculum. And I offer sometimes Zoom trainings, or I was just in, where was I at? Ray Roberts State Park, and Dodge City ISD had a big, huge service for all their teachers there in service. And so any aquatic science training that I offer, that is part of advanced training, and anything provided by any other programs that are education-based, except for TPWD's Angler Education Program, and also the Aquatic Wild with Project Wild. The reason why is because that would be double dipping for TPWD's hours, as well as angler education. In order for you to request the materials for angler education, you have to report those hours to their opportunity. And there's no way, I'm going to show you our opportunity later, there's no way to cross check those hours. So that's why it excludes those two. And then stewardship. If you're doing any monitoring for microplastics, point, non-point, pond management, or any restoration. And that last one is a key piece too, is water law. And so let me just go to here. So you'll see that there's Texas Water Development Board and the conservation districts. If you're the voice for the water in your community, that's just important as going and fixing the riparian zones. Because if you're the voice for your community to help improve water, that's going to possibly change policies to help water conservation and the health of the water. And so you'll see the first section, those are all TPWD ways to get advanced training, and those are all on our website. The other ones are all other agencies. So TPWD has great programs, but there's so many other agencies out there that are providing wonderful trainings as well. And so we work with those agencies. And so all of those agencies, you receive credit. The one thing that we do is that we do limit those hours to 4 hours. The reason why is because it is a TPWD program. We want you to at least use some of the TPWD product to get certified. And so and the other maybe confusing part is, let's just say Texas Stream Team, I'll take that one, or the Texas Waters Resource Institute. They provide wonderful water monitoring, or the Water Resource Institute is that riparian workshop. Those may be 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. You can put those 8 hours in, but only 4 of them count towards the certification. Your chapter, you will still get credit towards for those 8 hours for your advanced training. But what happens is when I look at that, I work really closely with your VMS or your admin, and there'll be like little asterisks next to people's names. So what it'll be is that you reported 8 hours, but 4 of those 8 hours count towards Texas Water Specialists. They will still count towards all of your master naturalist hours, but it's just recognizing that 4 of the 8 hours are going to be accepted for eligible hours. I will go back to chat in just a little bit, just because I see there's some long stuff and I don't want to take time to read it. So I will definitely go back to chat later on to catch some of those either comments or questions. So that's a little bit on the 4 hours. That's the easiest way. What some people do is to keep it clear in their own records if they want to. You can put in 2 separate entries. So let's just say the stream team is a 6-hour training. You can put 4 hours into the Texas Water Specialist opportunity and then 2 hours into the Texas Stream Team opportunity. You're more than welcome to do that, but you don't have to. It's an extra step that you don't have to do. You can just put 1 in with 6 hours, but just know that 4 of those 6 will count towards eligible hours.
Melissa, I apologize. This is Sharon, but this is about the training, and I want to ask to clarify. So these hours you're talking about they're also master naturalist qualifying, correct? So it's not double dipping. Like if we got 8 hours of Texas water in 1 year training, that checks off our master naturalist training also.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, so that's good to know, because then I don't have to say like with angler, which group is going to get my hours, which group am I going to give my hours to this time? So, but it all qualifies for master naturalist hours.
Yeah,
that's great to know. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So your 8 hours towards this advanced training is not in addition to the hours that you have to do for your master naturalist. Your 10 hours of certification are just 10 of those hours, and they can be more than 10, they can be more than 8. We ask that if you have to do 40, why not 10 be focused? So it's not 10 on top of your 40 hours that you already have to do. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
So just to clarify in my little pea brain, we would need to do 8 hours of advanced training to become a Texas, 8 hours of advanced training and then 10 hours of volunteer work.
So the initial certification is 8 hours of advanced training.
Okay.
And that's another thing. You only really have to do that once.
Okay.
You don't have to do 8 hours of advanced training to keep your certification. So there's an initial 8-hour certification, you become certified.
Okay.
And then after that, to keep your certification, you just need to do 10 hours of service hours that are watershed aquatic focused in order to keep your certification.
Okay.
We have been a little laxed on that just because it has been difficult to potentially find some of those service hours. And so that's why the Master Naturalist with Mary Pearl and Michelle Haggerty, they put those virtual programs out there. And so I presented every year except for this year to have some kind of aquatic base. But if you're looking for something that's virtual, I definitely have some projects that are always in the back burner for anybody in a virtual world. And so they're helping make videos, and you can do them in your own home. I can guide you with those kind of things. It's just using your cell phone as the camera. A lot of our cell phones right now take amazing pictures and videos. There's looking for images on the website. So that's helping. And what that's going to be used for is that's used for our Texas Aquatic Science middle school, high school curriculum. I'm in the process of updating that. I had a really amazing core group of about 6 to 7 volunteers that met all the time. And we reviewed the whole teacher guide, which is over a 700-page document. And we're actually turning that into ebooks. And so finding images to help out with those and make them prettier. So it's really helping. Over 300,000 students use Texas Aquatic Science. So it's not a little program. And so that would help. If you completed Texas Stream Team training already, can you be applied? Yes, you can. If it's past the 45 days, generally what I do is just send me the certificate. And what I do is on my big, huge Excel spreadsheet, I'll put your name in there and I'll say TST MJ approved. That's my Melissa Joanne. That's what I go by, MJ approved. And so then I know that I've looked at your certificate and it's good to go, and it's not going to show up when I do the VMS query at every month and at the end of the year. So yes, you can retrofit any of the trainings or certifications, but I do need record of that for just documentation for me. And it's a visual also for me to know that I can enter that into the Excel. All right, so this is how. The how is, it's complicated, well, sort of, but it is complicated. The long answer is, I get a lot, what's the application process? There is no application process. For Master Naturalist, all you need to do is you need to ask your VMS admin to turn on the opportunity switch. And so that's the correct opportunity. Some chapters have just Texas Waters. They spell out Texas Waters. And so you can get to see my nightmare on why looking for these hours, it takes me hours sometimes. This is the correct opportunity. And I apologize, I forgot to check to see if your chapter uses this correct opportunity or if it's a different one. But I just asked that this is the correct opportunity. It's AT Texas TX Water Certification Training. It's put in purple because I just want people to recognize that. That's what you should be using all the time. That's what I search for. I don't search for a stream team. I don't look for anything else. I'm just using this because it was the first year or two, I used to look for all of them, and it literally took days to weeks to try and get everybody at the end of the year. So this is all that I do now, because I do this for every chapter, plus public. So all those 46 chapters and all the public that does this, that's not a Master Naturalist, this is what I'm looking for. So then the advanced training, this is, and it's a combination of all these below. And so the Attend Texas Waters live webinar, if you miss the webinars, general public, if you're not a Master Naturalist, general public can just watch the webinars whenever they want, and it's honor system, just like most of our hours are honor system, except for Master Naturalists. You can go and you can watch a pre-record or the recorded webinars, but you have to form a small group and you have to have discussion. That's by the bylaws of Master Naturalists, because it's not self-reporting then. So attend the live ones, attending the live ones, you're registered, I can see your name, I can see you're attending. That's totally fine. If you miss a webinar, form a study group and watch the recorded webinars with discussion. The second one is reading the Texas Waters curriculum. And that curriculum, I'd be happy to, if there's a central person, normally it's the VMS admin or the president or the secretary, whoever it is, I can send the books for free. So there's 24 books in a box. And it's way cheaper to send a full box. So if you need 1 or 2 books, let me know and I can send that out to the chapter, whoever wants to accept those books. But it is also PDF'd online, so you can read the curriculum. This is the same thing, form a study group and use the questions to consider that's in the book, or we developed during COVID because nobody was meeting and we're trying to get, not many people were familiar with Zoom in the beginning. How can we get them to get some advanced training hours? We developed Texas Water, their Google quizzes, and it goes to all 9 of the chapters that we have. This right now, I will make a statement saying the chapter quizzes, if taken alone, I have to say it, by the bylaws, are not approved for advanced training. Some chapters do, some chapters don't. It's up to your chapter and whether it's going to be approved for, but you have to score 100. I get the results on my end. Your VMS admin does not get them or anything like that. So it's one of those honor things. If it's put in there, your VMS admin can contact me and say, hey, did they really take these quizzes? But you have to, I don't give credit unless it states by your email that you received 100% on the quiz. So
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I started reading the curriculum, which is really good.
Thanks.
And took a couple of the quizzes. So if I get 100 on all those quizzes, do I get certified?
Yes, because there's 9 chapters, so you can just use the book
Okay.
and and you would put that it's up to an hour. I allow even if it took you 2 hours to read the chapter and take the quiz. I
Right.
only approve up to an hour for each chapter and each entry of the quizzes.
But
So
we
yes,
won't, but we won't get, I'm sorry, we won't get master naturalist hours for that because we're not interacting with somebody. That's our rule for advanced training.
That's okay. That's okay. So thank you for bringing that up. So your chapter then will disapprove that. So what happens is even if a member enters in Texas Water Specialist Chapter 2 read curriculum and answered with 100%, your VMS admin may disapprove that. I still accept that for certification. So that's another difference in being the actual program versus being a master naturalist.
Okay.
And so it will, even if it says disapproved, I still take that towards certification hours, but you're correct. It would not, that one, those would not count towards your TMN hours.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Mhm. All right, cool. The next one is Attend Texas Waters Day, the actual event, which it has been, Mary Pearl notified me that Texas Waters Day has been an approved session. So it's unfortunate because it's before the meeting starts, when all the cool field trips are, and I know you want to go on a field trip, but if you don't want to go on a field trip, you can attend Texas Waters Day as well too. And the Texas Waters Day, you will get, it's generally, I believe it's 3 hours. You will get all those advanced training. It's hands-on. We do activities, we go through the book. And so it's not just sitting there listening to me for 3 hours, but there's also recognition. So we recognize people who are certified, have a lot of hours. And recently I've been giving out incentives and plaques to people who have gone on above and beyond. And Terry MacArthur was one of them that was awarded last year, and the City of Austin Ranger Cadet Program for what they've been doing with the high school students. So there's special recognitions as well. But if you attend any of aquatic watershed-based sessions or field trips at the Texas Master Naturalist Annual Meeting, those will count as well. And other approved aquatic and watershed learning activities and training. So what that is though, and that's the limit of 4. Those are all those other organizations on those pre-approved. That's all those organizations listed. And if you don't see any of them listed, just shoot me an email with your VMS admin CC'd or put on the same line, and we can go through and just do email saying, is this approved, is this approved? So I'm open to any other opportunities as well. So continuing with how this is reporting service. So you're going to enter your service as you normally do. Then that box that's down there, this activity qualifies for the following specialization. There's going to be that box. That box only appears if I change on your user defined status, or your VMS admin changes the user defined status to in progress or yes. That just means that your certification is in progress. Oh, thank you. Who is your VMS admin? So if anybody, all right, there you go. Teresa Thomas is. And so your user defined status, that's for your Texas Water Specialist certification. That's in your VMS profile. So as soon as somebody enters at least 1 hour, I will go through and I will change it to in progress. And so if you're certified, I change it to yes and put a certification date. This box does not show up unless I or your VMS admin. And if your VMS admin, so Teresa, Hester, and Mary Beth, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, don't worry about it. You do not have to do that. It's just some chapters actually prefer it because they say I take too long. The reason why is if they get their 8th hour on what is today, July 18th, if they got their 8th hour on July 2nd, I don't check July hours until August because I want all of those hours. I do not do this. I do not check hours on a daily basis. I check them for a month. And because I've been traveling so much, doing trainings, I'm actually 2 months. I'm 1 month behind, so I'm still 2 months. So that's why I say sometimes it takes 1 to 2 months to change that user defined to in progress or yes. And so all you're going to do is you're going to check that yes box. And here's another purple word. That box only gets checked if that service is aquatic, watershed, or water-based. Just because you're a water specialist, if you do bluebird monitoring, you do not check that box. That is not aquatic, watershed based. This is one of the biggest ones. Sometimes people have only like 4 hours of actual Texas water specialist hours. And I have to search through, literally, I think the biggest one last year was about 300 and something hours and only 4 applied. So please only check that box if your service applies to the Texas Water Specialist program. Okay, so those two are not the correct opportunity. They should have, you should have that in your listings. The other, I can go back and I can work with, I can go back and I can add, or you guys can add the correct one, and I can go back and check to see. You may want to check to see if it's Texas is spelled out, or it's just Texas Waters. And so I can look to see, because I know your chapter does have people that are certified. And so I'll look to see what that actual opportunity is. Okay, thanks for looking at that. All right, so that's how to report service. So enter it just as you're doing regular reporting service. And all you have to do for this one is check the box. If the box is not checked, you're more than welcome. And it's more than a month to 2 months, please send me an email. My email's last. Please send me an email. And it may be that I had an intern working on it and they skipped this step. So I had to go back actually all of 2019. The intern did not check the box for anybody in 2019. So I had to go. I'm still in the process of that. So I'm going back to doing that. So, all right. And this is a not how. So these are not approved advanced training hours. So like I said, angler education and aquatic wild, weather related, COCO-ROS, because they are grandfathered in. COCO-ROS training is, so if you are a rain gauge monitor, that counts. The training counts, and your service. Some of the chapters cap that to a certain number of hours for COCO-ROS. That's the exception. And I say sort of because COCO-ROS offers webinars. I occasionally look at those webinars. Most of them do not apply. So they'll be about storms or lightning or something like that. Those are not water related. Wildlife related, unless the species talk is a bioindicator or connected to water quality. Oil and gas, unless it's fully related to water issues. So a lot of people say, what about fracking? They talk about water quality. Well, that's probably maybe 5 or 10 minutes of that talk, of the whole talk of fracking. Okay. And then recreational activities. If you're canoeing or kayaking and you're just out there doing that for fun, that does not count. But there are some chapters that said, let's get on our waterways, and we're going to do that by canoeing and kayaking, and we're going to do litter debris. And either that's going to be service, or if it's based to advanced training and they're talking the whole time about the riparian zones and the plants that are there and stuff like that, that counts as advanced training, even if you're on the water kayaking. But it has to be educational. Not approved for service, trail building or maintenance not associated with water quality. So just if you have a blowout of a trail, your trails are just eroding to the end. And I know erosion is a water term, but if it's not impacted by water quality. Invasive species removal, that's not associated with aquatic habitats. And the next one, planting, vegetation restoration, not associated with riparian or aquatic habitats. With this, we can all argue that any restoration, any aquatic species removal of plants could benefit our watersheds. I just have to put a cap somewhere. If you're in the middle of prairie and you're doing prairie restoration, I can argue that that helps with water drainage and stuff like that as well too. But if it's more of a prairie area that's not really directly related to aquatic habitat, it's not going to count. Monitor and record wildlife species except for invertebrates and bioindicator species. So the monitoring Texas Stream Team, you're out water quality monitoring, that counts. It does count. I'll just say that again. Planning and presenting events programs. and projects not associated with aquatic habitat. So you're getting to see everything needs to be aquatic based, and then recreational opportunities. Oh, so hopefully you started like this. Now you got a little smiling face, but kind of. So is there any questions? And I can go through, I don't know if, I think maybe Sharon and Mary Beth, if you were looking at the chat, if there was anything specific, I
Well,
can scroll through.
We do have Donna Honkamp, who volunteers to test the Trinity River, and she's available to tell us what she does and how she got trained.
Okay, let me just really quick, I'm gonna put my, so if anybody wanted to contact me, as well as the easiest way right now, we're trying to convert some of our programs to a general mailbox, just because if there's going to be turnover, we don't want those names to disappear. And so I'm still getting emails for Johnny Smith is still getting emails for this program. And I've been doing it for like almost 4.5 years. So their conservation edu at tpwd.texas.gov. You can send that email. My personal email, it's melissa.alderson. That's why I'm still putting Alderson. It's melissa.alderson, and it's the same TPWD, but I prefer the conservation edu email. And then there's a lot of other resources on our website under the education tab. On the left-hand side, it'll say water education. That's where you can get to the Texas Water Specialist, or you can just type in TPWD water, Texas Water Specialist, and you'll get there as well too. I see Sharon's writing, so I'll wait.
No, I put it in the chat, and then I write it down myself, and
Awesome.
then maybe I can find it tomorrow, you know.
Okay.
We can also put this into our next newsletter.
Okay. And if you want me to do a blurb, like a little paragraph or something like that, let me know, and I can try and summarize this. And while you're writing, I just want to put a little plug. It sounds like a lot of you are interested in BioBlitzes. I'm part of the Texas Pollinator BioBlitz team. And so we just solidified our dates. And so it's October 7th to the 23rd. So if your chapter wanted to participate in any events or anything like that, it's October 7th to the 23rd, and the website is already updated.
Would you explain what that involves?
Yeah, so the BioBlitzes, it's pretty much just, and I put it in the chat, it's you can form it, you can, I believe you, or am I getting the Birding Classic? I love the Birding Classic. It's this one, you can either form teams, or there's a lot of agencies that share events, and events are shared there. There's loads of resources and field guides on bees, butterflies, caterpillars, plants, anything that's BioBlitz and pollinator related. There every single day, there's go out and find something that's orange, go out and find black and white, a multicolored either pollinator or a plant. So there's like fun little daily challenges to do as well too. And the important part of this is all of this is collected. Tanya, I always get, she hates when I do that. Hamayon, and then Craig Hensley. Tanya is the one that put it together, but we have projects. So there is a project. So she pulls all that information through this BioBlitz as well too.
So you record, you take a picture and put it in iNaturalist, all of your observations, and people try to get as many observations as they can.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct. And so we're, especially with Rawa coming out, yeah, I put in the chat, Madison, share yours, because I'll share it on the Conservation Education Facebook page. And so I heard somebody mention Seek. I do absolutely love Seek. Seek is something that is the reason why that was developed is because it's for children that are under the ages of 13. So by legal status, iNaturalist can't know the location of a minor with 13-year-olds. So that's why they developed Seek. And so Seek is almost exactly the same, but I love Seek because it identifies the things to the family, to almost to species many times as well too. So it's really, really awesome.
Okay. Would you
And I know
mind
we're
if,
getting off topic.
do you mind if Donna talked about her experience with the program?
Yeah, definitely.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Donna.
Okay, Donna. It's all yours.
Donna here.
Yes, I'm here. Hang on, guys.
Okay.
Okay, let me call you back. All right. Okay, sorry about that, guys.
We're all multitasking.
Yeah, I know, always, right? So Mary Beth asked me to speak a few minutes about what Chris and I do with
Sure.
the Texas Stream Team water quality monitoring here in Fort Worth. And we monitor on the a tributary off the Trinity River over here close by our house. And we've been doing it for about a year. It's a lot of fun. And things that we monitor is the pH, the dissolved oxygen, conductivity, water temp, Secchi disc transparency, air temperature, just to give you guys an idea. And then the field observation, you look for flow severity, algae, water conditions, the weather, the rainfall, since the last accumulation, water color, water clarity, water odor. And so if anybody is interested, it's the training is given in June. And so they just had it, but she sends the announcement out through the Master Naturalist distribution list. So you'll get it probably next year sometime. Anyway, she does the training once a year. Once you do the training, it takes about 3 months to set up your site, and then you can start monitoring. Just a heads up on this one, she makes it pretty clear. It's a 2-year commitment, which I know for us, none of us, that's no big deal, right? We do stuff for years at one time a month, and it takes about 2.5 to 3 hours to do the monitoring. And then you get back home, you submit all your data to whoever your contact person is. And if you guys want to look for more information and to look at what other training opportunities are available, the core training that I mentioned in June, that's here in Fort Worth, but you can travel to other towns for training, and you can go to the www.meadowscenter.txstate.edu. And that has all the training. If you are so inclined and you want to do this earlier, you can take a core training somewhere else and then monitor, in Fort Worth or Arlington or whatnot. We also just completed a couple of months ago, the E. coli training. We went to Waco. And so we're going to also start that testing once we get that set up. It takes a while to get everything set up. And so we'll be doing that at the same spot. But the main thing, one of the main things to our 2-year commitment, every month at the same time, like, you don't want to do it on the 1st of one time and on the 31st the other. They ask you to pick a day, Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock on the last week of the month. And you do it at the last week of the month on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. If you can. Now things happen, life happens. So that's not always the case, but that's the preference. And then at the end, then we also sometimes spend 30 minutes picking up trash, and that's part of it. And I think that's in a nutshell without elaborating or going too in depth.
Sure, Donna. Would it be all right for people to email you if they want to know more?
Well, if they really want to know more, probably the best is that Meadow Center.
Okay. Could you say that one out again, please?
Yes, I will. www.meadowscenter.txstate Thank you, Melissa. I knew somebody would put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so see, everything's on there. So we do this in Fort Worth through the city of Fort Worth, but it's all comes from the Meadow Center, which is the Texas Stream Team. So the documentation that I submit, that's what's on the header, is the Meadow Center. And that's where we took the E. coli training, even though we took the core training at the Nature Center here in Fort Worth.
And if y'all haven't been to the Meadow Center, maybe you went to what did it used to be called before it became the Meadow Center? And it had the swimming pigs and it's at Texas State University now. I know some of you know what I'm talking about, and others of you think I'm crazy.
Aquarena Springs.
Aquarena Springs, yeah, that is now part of Texas State University, and so they have a freshwater center. Yeah,
But no more.
I said swimming pigs, and you knew what I meant.
I talk about it in that literature that I've been reading. So did you have to pay for your kit that you used to test with?
Oh, that's a good question. On the kit, what they do, no, to answer your question, no, we didn't pay for it. It is very costly though, the kit. That's probably why you're asking as well. Very expensive. So what you do, she prefers to leave it at the library and then you go check it out from the library and then you return it back. So that's where it stays all the time. So hopefully there's a library close to you. Again, that adds to the mileage too. So you try to pick someplace close to you, you know, so that you're not driving very far, and hopefully there's a library somewhere close to you. Or she said she can place it somewhere else. I just don't know where those other places are. Ours is the library over here.
Is there a
Great, thank you.
Is there a place for us to go look at this data that's collected?
You know what? I asked her about that one time, and I think she replied to me, and I probably can go through my emails and find that, because so we've been doing it a year now, actually, exactly, because it took 3 months to get it all put together. And we wanted to see what the differences were with the different, like the DO and stuff. So anyway, to answer your question, I could probably go through some emails and find that information for you.
DO means dissolved oxygen.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you all so much. This is very interesting, and working, I always like to work with water, and especially when it's this hot. And Dana, your question from the Meadows site, do you sign up for the stream team? Why don't you check it out for us and let us know? Let us know.
And I can add to, I'm sorry, Sharon.
No, go ahead.
I can add to that. If you get on their email distribution list, you will get all the trainings. I actually get an email quite regularly now from them since I took the E. coli training out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just get on their email list.
I'm not sure I want to know about the E. coli.
Well,
I know I do want to know, but I'm not sure I want to know.
So Melissa and Donna, is it true that the E. coli mainly gets contributed from birds stuff on the ground after it rains?
That's one way, yes. And so
Or
I
just
don't
the
know,
birds being in the water?
being up north, you probably have Canada geese up there. Canada geese are a contributor to E. coli in the water.
Okay.
I also, this is several years old information, but I've also heard that a lot of it comes from pets.
Yes.
We don't pick up our pets' poop, whether that's dogs or cats. And then, you know, in pasture areas or where there's a lot of deer area, those animals also, their fecal matter contributes to the E. coli.
So there's actually on the Texas Waters webinar, I believe it was 2 months ago, the Texas State Soil and Water Commission or Conservation Board, they presented on non-point pollution and they talked all about that data. And so the recorded webinars there and resources. And I just want to mention a couple things. your chapter, I did pull up my fancy Excel spreadsheet. You do, I believe Mary Beth, you already confirmed this, but what I had on there is the opportunity. That's what your chapter already does. And I'm just going to name off really quick: Sarah, Richard, Michael, Wendy, Jared, Whitney, Rich, John, Carol, Lulu, Alina, and Cassie are all certified within your chapter already.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, so thank you so much. And there is a long list of people that are very close, halfway, a couple hours away. So if you watch those webinars, you'll become certified. And then one last thing, you're talking about the kits. I'm about to reach out to all the master naturalists because through the grant that funds Texas Aquatic Science and Texas Water Specialist, I ordered a whole bunch of supplies, and just some people don't want some of the supplies that are certified field sites for aquatic science. So I have the big, huge Lamont kits that are just sitting in the warehouse. And so the certified field sites didn't want them. And so I'm reaching out at the end of the summer, probably to master naturalists. So just for this opportunity, if you need a big, huge Lamont kit, it's close, very close to what Texas Stream Team, I've talked with them, and we're going to try and see if that same data can be pulled from that Lamont kit, because they use Lamont. I don't think it's the exact same kit. And so it'll be a survey if you're interested in all that. It's aquatic D nets, books for macroinvertebrates and those kind of things. And so, yeah, so I'd be happy. That survey will come out, and it'll generally go to, I can send it to all the chapter admins that, or not just admins, but anybody who's a chapter member is who it normally goes to, a board member.
Well, we'd love to have one.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Melissa.
Welcome. Thanks for having me, everybody.
Well, thank you. It sounds like a great opportunity would be to help you with the textbook, something we could do from home.
Sorry, I muted myself. Yes, if anybody's interested, anybody needed hours to do virtually, shoot me an email, and if there's a core group of people, I'd be happy to get together with anybody who's interested in making either those videos or helping out with the aquatic science.
Thank you so much, Melissa. That was really helpful.
Thanks.
And thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have a few announcements. I'll try to keep them as short and sweet as possible. There has been a question about an update on the new member applications. The committee has had their first meeting, and we'll have our second and hopefully final meeting tomorrow to finish selecting this year's trainee class. It's very difficult. We've got about 60 applications for about 28 openings. And so unfortunately, we can't say yes to as many people who want to participate. So we're getting there, and I think it's late this month that we set as our date. Perhaps it was the 25th of July, don't quote me on that, for when we'd inform folks if they've been selected or not. And that will start in mid-August. What we'd like to start up again in our Cross Timbers chapter would be to have current members be mentors for a small number of the trainees. So if we've got 28 trainees, we could use as many as 10 mentors, so that each mentor might have 2 or 3 or 4, no more than that, trainees. And if you are interested in serving as a mentor, if you would, Mary Beth, is okay if they email me?
Sure.
If you'll email president@ctmn.org. And if you will put in the subject line mentor, so that when I go back to search for the emails, I can find them. mentor, mentor. What we're looking for is folks who will make some communication connections with some of these new members. Whether it's email or texting or phone calling, whatever you and those trainees are comfortable with. We'd like to have you perhaps attend the first session, which is August 16th this year. That's a Tuesday evening. And depending on how many non-board member mentors, we think we can provide dinner for you. It'd just be a sandwich, but it would be dinner because that'll be the first evening that our trainees will be coming in about 5 o'clock for dinner. We're just in the beginning stages. You know, what would you guys like a mentorship program to mean and to be? And you know, as much as you want to participate, great, but we don't want to start out with, well, you'd have to do A and B and C and D, and if you can't do all of those, you can't be a mentor. Mainly, we want you to reach out to these folks and keep reaching out to them for the near future, at least. And I think we've got a lot of folks who would be good at that. You don't have to be on Zoom. You don't have to speak in front of a crowd to do that. So think about that. And think about it within the next couple of weeks, since we're about to start our new class. If you did not get the newsletter today, I think I got it today. It might have been yesterday. If Frank's still here, Frank, will you tell us how they can contact you to make sure they can get a copy of the newsletter?
How can they get a copy of the newsletter?
Yeah, if they didn't get one and they want to make sure they get it, how do they contact you?
Well, to make it easy for them, they could send the newsletter at CTMN. I get copies of that as well. And that way we know exactly what it's about.
All right. And check before you contact Frank, check again, if you didn't get the newsletter in the last day or two, check your junk or your spam, because sometimes that stuff goes in the wrong inbox. I've noticed that myself. And we'd like everybody to get a copy of the newsletter monthly, because there's some good information.
I do check it all before it's sent out, put it through spam checkers. And this time I had trouble getting it out. Believe it or not, the word Cialis is in water specialist.
Ah. Well,
So
they need
that
to.
up.
Does Melissa
Okay.
know that?
Melissa's still here, so maybe she still might be listening.
I was listening and I was like, oh, I missed the full joke. What is this? Cialis is in water.
In the word
specialist?
specialist.
I didn't realize that.
Another thing that is not yet in, okay, I'm gonna share screen again. Another thing that is not in this newsletter is the fact that we are going to have some more t-shirts made, thanks to Carol, who happens to be modeling this size medium t-shirt. And this time, across the back, and if Alexis is here, she'll be happy. Across the back will be the word volunteer and Cross Timbers chapter. And
I'm so excited.
yes. All right. Am I still calling up the same picture every time? Yes, I am. If you, this is what the front will look like. It will just have the TMN logo, and the colors will be the same as we had a couple years ago, the turquoise, the silver, and the leaf green. And we're working on an e-blast going out about August the 1st. That will go to members that are enrolled in VMS. That is, if you're still an active member. That doesn't mean you had to certify last year. That means you are still using the VMS and have put in at least 1 hour. If you're not using VMS and you want to get a copy of the t-shirt, then we'll have to figure that one out. And you can contact president@ctmn.org and explain to me that you're not in VMS. In your subject line, please write the word t-shirt so I can find those again. And those will go out. We're going to try and get the new members, the trainees, will give them an opportunity to order the t-shirts. All sizes will be $13. And that goes from S, small, I don't know if it's XS, but we'll find out by, you'll find out by this e-blast, all the way through 2XL, or I think 3XL. So those, be on the lookout for that coming about August 1st. And we're excited to get those. Same quality cotton, same sizing. You may want to change what size you bought from last year. And hopefully you won't have half of the words written down below your waist this time. That reminds me of one other thing that I tend to forget to announce, and that is if you are interested in attending the state annual meeting that will be in late August. Excuse me, I said that wrong. I always confuse August and October. It will be in late October. The registration for that will begin on the first week of August. And that I did say correctly. Registration for the state annual meeting will begin the first week of August. As far as I know right now, they are only planning to have in person. The cost, I'm going to just give you an estimate rounding of the cost. The cost is a few $100s. And I believe that includes several meals and the hotel. And if you are saying, Sharon, you're not giving me enough information about the annual meeting, the state, Mary Beth is going to really quick while I'm babbling here, look up the state TMN website and put that in chat, because they are going to have the link to everything on the TMN, the Texas Master Naturalist website. I do know that it's in Houston this year. All right, there it is, txmn.tamu.edu.
I can tell you, it was one of the most fun things I've ever done in my life, conference-wise. Conference-wise. I mean, who could ever say, oh, I went to a conference and it was really great. There were a mother-daughter team that rehabbed tarantulas, and they let us hold tarantulas, and they talked about all their escapades. I mean, it was just, we had a trivia quiz. It was just a lot of fun.
And Sam will always do mothing.
Yeah,
Sam sets up mothing in the evenings.
It wasn't just sit and listen to someone.
Yeah. Alexis, notify me if you're interested in being a mentor. I'm looking at chat right now.
Yay.
All right, and Jan, how do we order t-shirts? We will be sending an email out somewhere about the 1st of August with all the information, and that the link will be on the website, our chapter website. Any other, we are a little over, it's 8:16. Any other announcements that we need to make? Going once? Going twice? Y'all, going 3 times. Y'all take this heat very seriously. Sometimes drinking water isn't enough. Sometimes you have to get cooler. So be very, very conscious. Those of us that are getting older, we don't sense the heat as well as we used to. Please be very careful and take the heat very seriously, and save up your, save up your hard volunteering. and weed pulling for a month when it's not 110 degrees at noon. So please be very careful. Thank y'all. See you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye,
Sharon.
thanks.
Bye-bye.